Didn't know anything. So I would just like overdo it with the blush because they were so uncomfortable and itchy and they would bleed. So it's weird, but it did and I'm happy about it. Number 5 is a weird one. Hello everybody, my name is Reina. I'm a registered nurse and stay-at-home mom of 2. And this channel is all about what I eat and why I eat high-fat, meat-heavy keto, aka Ketovore. And today I'm going to talk to you guys about 7 unexpected, completely unexpected changes that I have seen not only in my body physically, but also in my mental state because of this low carbohydrate way of eating. So before I tell you guys about the unexpected changes that I've seen, let me tell you guys about the things that I expected and they make sense. One was I lost excess body fat. So when I started this way of eating over 3 years ago, I didn't start off as low carb. I was more like dirty keto, and I expected to lose a little bit of weight because I had excess fat to lose. It took many months because I was already kind of close to my ideal body weight, but I did lose it. The other thing that I kind of expected, and I've talked to you guys about before in my vlogs, is that I got rid of my iron deficiency anemia. And it makes sense. I don't think I went into it thinking that it was going to change, but it makes sense because once you increase your red meat intake, that's going to happen, right? You get more like bioavailable iron. So that made sense. And I knew that I was supposed to do that before, but I was always afraid of increasing my red meat intake. None of my doctors ever recommended that, of course. They just gave me a bottle of pills to take. So those are the expected changes that I saw. Now I'm going to talk to you guys about the 7 unexpected changes that I saw from this diet. Item number 1 is I got rid of my dandruff. I used to have like really thick patches of dandruff that would bleed. I would pick at them because they were so uncomfortable and itchy and they would bleed. I've talked before about how sometimes they would bleed and I wouldn't notice it. So I would have like blood dripping down my side of the head, like the side of my head, and someone would point it out and ask if I was okay. That was awkward. So it had a tendency to get bad in the winter time when my scalp was dry. But sometimes it would be in the summertime. Like I never had control over it. I always tried different things. The only thing that maybe made a little bit of a difference, or maybe it was just a coincidence that it was just gonna get better anyway, is Head and Shoulders. So that's a shampoo that I used for a very, very long time. But other than that, I didn't really have any control over it. But I have not had a flare of dandruff in almost 3 years. So I'm chalking it up to my diet because that's the only thing that has changed in a big way since about 3 years ago. The other thing is, and I've talked about this, but I didn't expect it to happen, is my adult acne is gone. It's genetic. I really thought that I was just always going to have it because I have adult family members who still have acne and who just have suffered with it through the entire life. And now that I know that it's linked to insulin resistance, and knowing that I'm not insulin resistant, it just makes so much sense. So yeah, I had really bad acne ever since puberty all the way to about 3 years ago. I'm 29 now. So yeah, I mean, well into adulthood, I had pretty bad acne. It also kind of went back and forth and flared up at the worst moments, of course, during times of stress and hormones, but that wasn't the only reason. Clearly, it was my diet. That's the only thing that has substantially changed in my life since about 3 years ago. Number 3 is something that kind of goes along with the iron deficiency anemia that I got rid of. I used to always be cold. Always. I was the girl that was wearing a sweatshirt in the middle of summer. Like that was just my nature, cold natured. So I haven't taken my body temperature. Who does? But I'm pretty sure I have a higher body temperature now. I think it makes sense because I'm not anemic anymore, and so there's more oxygen in my blood, and I don't know. I think my body temperature is just normal now instead of just always being cold. Number 4 goes along with that, and I have more rosiness in my cheeks. I think I have 1 or 2 clips that I took of when it was just in the middle of the day. It wasn't even in the morning, you know, because when you're asleep, I think your body temperature naturally goes up with hormones. But no, I think these 2 clips were in the middle of the day, 1 or 2 clips of like my cheeks. I don't have makeup on in these clips. Right now I do, obviously. But in these clips, you can tell that my cheeks are just rosy. And I used to never have that. If anything, I was like, it was a normal thing for people to ask me all the time if I felt okay because I looked sick, I looked pale. People would ask me all the time if I was okay because I was just too pale. And I just thought I was a pale person. You know, I envied women who had a little rosiness in their cheeks. So I would just like overdo it with the blush because I just thought I had to because I was a pale person. Turns out I'm not really. The rosiness in my cheeks is back. Like I flush now. I blush when I'm supposed to. And I don't know. I feel like it's weird because I never experienced that before. Like I never had a normal flush for as long as I can remember. Number 5 is a weird one. But I've talked to other people in the ketovore, carnivore space, and they have weird little things like this too. I used to get cysts around my ears, like little bumps behind my earlobe or kind of stuck to my neck, like behind my ears. Really weird, I know. They were small and movable. They were just little cysts, I think, little bumps. And I even remember, I used to work at a dermatology clinic, and I even remember I had one of the other medical assistants inject one with a steroid solution once to make it go away. And it did, it worked. But yeah, I haven't seen one in 3 years, which is wild to me. That was just like a normal occurrence for me to just have them. They would come back and go away, come back. Sometimes I would have one on each ear. So strange. I didn't know what it was. The doctor that I worked with, she was the one that told me to just have someone inject it with a steroid solution. And yeah. So it's probably inflammation. It's probably just because I eat such a low inflammatory diet now that like my body has no inflammation in it or very little of it. So that makes sense. It makes sense now, obviously, but it didn't before. I wouldn't have ever told you that, oh, keto is going to get rid of the bumps around my ears. It's weird, but it did, and I'm happy about it. Number 6 is I'm more sensitive / more aware of, I don't know if I'm more sensitive to changes in my body or I'm more aware of them. I was watching one of my beef, butter, bacon, and eggs vlogs the other day, and I was talking about how, and I was also, like, it was different before because I was breastfeeding while I was doing beef, butter, bacon, and eggs, so there was a lot of hormones involved with that I don't have anymore because I'm not breastfeeding anymore. But I feel like I'm more sensitive to foods and the way that they make me feel. I don't know if I'm more sensitive to them or just I know now what causes them. I don't like have more symptoms or anything like that than I used to, but now I know how each food makes me feel. I know that onions, for example, give me a little bit of gas. Not as much as broccoli does, but it does. And every time I eat onions, which has been a lot lately because I add them to my food, I always have to ask me, is it worth the meal that I'm gonna have? And a lot of times it's yes, because the gas isn't as much. But yeah, that's what I'm talking about, is I know now the foods, like for example, if I'm gonna have something sweet or something with a lot of dairy, I have to be ready for an acne breakout afterwards. I used to not even know what the crap was causing my acne. I didn't know anything, but I've cut out so much of the inflammatory crap, things that elevate your blood insulin, that now my body's like very clearly, I know what causes what, if that makes sense. Number 7 is confidence, and that's more of a mental state thing. It's not a physical thing, but it comes with all of the things that, it's because of all of the things that I mentioned before, right? So like the dandruff had a big effect on my self-confidence when I had a flare-up where I was very self-conscious about it. I talked about in a vlog about how I used to, like if I had a flare, I would like have to hold my hair back really tightly and make sure that nothing poked through. Like I just didn't want it to be visible, especially with my hair being black. My dandruff was very visible. If I had a date or something and like I had an acne breakout, it sucked. I hated taking pictures because my acne was flaring up. Constant bloat, that's something that I didn't mention, but all of these things have to do with like my self-confidence. I lost the excess postpartum baby fat, and with the first one and with the second one. But the first one, after my first baby, I didn't know about keto. I wasn't keto with my first pregnancy. It wasn't until many, many months later. I just held on to 10 pounds of extra fat for a long time, over a year postpartum, until I lost the weight with dirty keto. So yeah, and then this time around, I lost it within a few months after having my baby. So all of these things have to do with the extra confidence that I have now that I just didn't know I could have. Thank you guys so much for watching. I would love it if in the comments you shared any unexpected changes, any weird little things that you have seen because of your low carbohydrate way of eating, whether you're eating keto, ketovore, or carnivore, or even just low carb, right? Keeping it below 100 total carbs a day. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.